Welcome to the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin, once again joined by...
Awesome from Ajax, baby, but you already knew that.
You already knew that, and we're here to talk NFL Championship Sunday. We're down to 2 football games, 3 games in total left in the NFL season. We got 2 of them today. We're going to go through the lines, the over-unders, and some props, and we're going to discuss some long shots and see where it takes us in this world of sports betting. We got a concrete fact that Oscar from Ajax has in his back pocket. Always a solid segment that we bring up every week. And we got a few other stories to talk about in the world of sports, not just including football. If you've joined the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast before, fantastic. Welcome back. If this is a new download for you, this podcast is intended to talk sports betting across the board in sports. Yes, we're focusing on the NFL because NFL is king. We also take time to talk about other stories in sports and get opinions. And it's just a free-for-all kind of information session here at the Overrated Experience. You can follow the Overrated Experience at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2. And of course, that's on X. If you look for Overrated Experience on YouTube, you'll pick up the video version of this podcast that you can watch and look at our beautiful faces. And, or if you don't like what you see, you can obviously stick with the pod. You can find on any of your Apple podcast or Spotify, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's a snowy, ridiculous day in the GTA. And for those outside of Toronto, that's the Greater Toronto Area. Austin from Ajax is from outside of the Toronto area. What is the snow looking like in your end of the woods?
We got about, I want to say, 8 or 9 inches of snow right now. I think we're supposed to get up to like a foot or 13 inches, something like that, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I would say pretty bad. It's a nice way of putting it. It's getting ugly. I'm sick of this. I'm disgusted by the amount of snow we've been getting. It's not even the end of January yet, so we got a month and a bit to go, if not more, until March, I guess, the potentially getting this snow. But I got a few years on you, and I just can't recall last winter where we've had this amount of snowfall in such a short period of time. This is unprecedented to me, and maybe in my older age, I'm getting sick of it, and I can understand why somebody would be a snowbird. I want to get the hell out of here and down to Florida. Do you recall it being this bad in the last few years?
No, not at all. I feel like, to be fair, I feel like we've had some pretty weak winters. And now this kind of feels like it's kind of back to normal. I don't know. Definitely the most shoveling.
Global not paying off here, man.
Definitely
it's not paying off.
Definitely the most shoveling in like 3 or 4 years.
Because you've shoveled so much, you're regretting or dreading to get out there and do it. And your back is going to, just even trying to, if you have to leave your driveway and travel anywhere, it's insane, man. God, it's terrible.
Definitely not in the morning, but on a weekend, the odd time I could actually enjoy shoveling, I would say. Believe it or not, I could enjoy shoveling the rare time. Like in this situation, Sunday, maybe you go shovel, you come inside afterwards, have a hot chocolate. It's not the end of the world.
God, man, you're rosy picture.
Hey, if you got to wake up early and do it, and you got to bundle up, you're going to work. Fuck that, screw that. Yeah. But Sunday, it's like, I'm probably gonna go out and shovel again after this podcast, and that's not the worst thing.
So, would you recommend to our viewers out there that you download the Overrated Experience, the latest episode, put the AirPods in your ear, and shovel away while enjoying some great insight on some sports? Would you recommend that?
I think that's a great idea. Just make sure to turn that kettle on for when you're done.
Okay, so that's we got the latest weather report here in the Toronto area, and I know that we have a lot of listeners across the world that tune in that may not even experience snow. So I want to be where you are. Okay, I want to be where you are. So thanks again for your continuous effort to download the Overrated Experience. And here we go again. It's Championship Sunday. We're going to get into it. I got a few other stories I want to talk about first, but let's get your rating out of 10 here of excitement. Based on the matchups and the storylines coming in these games, where would you rate your excitement for these championship games today?
I'll go. This rating scale will kind of be based on the last. This will be based on like every semifinals for the last 10 years. I'd say like a 7.5.
Yeah.
The NFC game, the game at 6:30 tonight, Eastern time, is that still is a top tier. Like, who the hell is going to win? We don't know what's going to happen. Clearly two of the best teams in football, and I really do think this easily would have been an 8 if it wasn't for Bo Nix going down.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 6.5. The Bo Nix thing sucks. I mean, yeah, you don't want this to be a blowout. You don't want Denver to roll over and not compete against the Patriots. However, I don't want to see a Stidham quarterback matchup in the Super Bowl. I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I'd rather see Drake, the story of the Patriots, Vrabel and May, Diggs, all those guys heading to the Super Bowl. I think that has to happen before it to be interesting. And on the other side, I think it is a heavyweight matchup. The Seahawks are playing like the best team in the NFL right now, but they're not the sexiest team in the NFL, in my opinion, right? Although they dominated and crushed the 49ers, this would be more of an intriguing matchup if it was Niners-Rams, in my opinion. Even though the Seattle Seahawks crushed the Niners, deserve to be here, I just feel that it would have been more exciting if the 49ers were playing in this game versus the Seahawks, even though they deserve it. So that's where my 6.5 rating comes from. Hopefully, the craziness that we've seen the last couple of weeks, like that, like I know we had the podcast last week and we didn't get a chance to talk about your Bears, but could you, like, I was sitting here Sunday night watching that game. I was expecting a lot more points to be scored in that game than there was. But for Caleb Williams to roll back like that in like that last play of the game, or not last, but like, the clock winding down, 4th down, he's backpedaling like 20 yards. Right away, you're thinking it's over, forget it. And he heaves that ball up to the end zone. And then the camera goes to the end zone and you see how wide open the Bears receiver is in the end zone to catch that ball. And I wanted the Rams to win. Okay. I want the Rams to win. However, when you have a play like that, a legendary moment, you want him to go finish it, right?
Man.
Because that moment won't be as big because they lost. And he threw a pick on the drive that he could have led them down to victory. What did you think of that throw, that play? And is it kind of depleted because it didn't follow through with a win?
I feel like this is kind of always kind of what happens with Caleb Williams. He always has, if you're looking at on paper, he's always having that high offensive performance, but it's the last few minutes of the game where he's always falling short. That wide open pass at the end of the game, just some kind of choke job. You know what I mean? But I try to give him credit just because, like, at the end of the day, the points that he puts up throughout the game, should be enough to win that game. But, we obviously everyone's going to look in at those last 2-3 minutes, even though they are the most crucial. So it's hard to, Caleb Williams is kind of almost one of the hardest quarterbacks to pinpoint in the NFL, because it's always like at the end of the game, should they be in the situation where, he has to get this game-winning drive. It seems like he always has to go get this game-winning drive. And, he maybe, is it fair of him to face his pressure every single game when he's putting up 30 points? You know what I mean? So it's like, he has my respect, but he's nowhere close to elite. But I consider Caleb Williams a good quarterback. And, it's a shame, but if you're a Bears fan, you got to be excited. A clear overachieve. You lose by 3 points. You can't be too upset. And I did have a question for you regarding the Denver game, because your rating is a 6.5, but I'm just curious so obviously, backup quarterback, like, this is a waste of game to watch. If the Denver Broncos go on to win the Super Bowl, does that flip on a switch in the sense of this guy went against all odds and got the job done, kind of like Nick Foles with the Eagles back against the Patriots with Tom Brady?
I know people are going to compare the Nick Foles comparison story, but Nick Foles took over during the season and led the team to their run. And this one feels, and it is, like he's gotten thrown in kind of like one step away from the Super Bowl. It'll still be a story, no question. If the narrative turns out to be that he is a Super Bowl champion and led the Broncos, I think the narrative would also be that Sean Payton is just an amazing coach, like an absolute legendary coach that will have something up his sleeve. We'll talk about the game. I just don't see it, but I've definitely changed my feel if it's concluded that he's holding up the Lombardi Trophy because he came in, had a career 2 games, and had a magic moment. I won't disrespect that, and I would change my tune if that somehow it played out, or if it played out that, you know, I don't want to give too much away what we're going to talk about. You know, well, let's talk about that game a little later, because I think I have a theory on how the Broncos, if they win, how they're going to do it. But I'm going to go back to one last game that hit hard to a lot of people we know, and that was the Bills going down to the Broncos. And controversy, to say the least, in that game. The Brandon Cooks no catch, interception. Man, I've heard it argued both ways. And the NFL has done this because of the complexity of what a goddamn catch is. You know, he goes up in the air, makes the catch, hits the ground, rolls, and then the defender grabs the ball from him, interception. The NFL argues that it's not a completed catch, thus allowing the Bronco defender to take possession. I heard Ben Roethlisberger yesterday make a comment on it, and he had a good point, in my opinion. He makes the catch. The question is, did it look like a catch to me? Yeah. As soon as he hit the ground, yeah. Is the play over? He's touched. He's down. Because we've seen that many times where, you know, the guy's taking 85 steps, and I'm joking because it's supposed to be 3 steps, and it's not a fumble. You know, it's just very how particular a play can be called one way and not the other when it's come to a body part being on the ground. So, what do you think of that? Like, was it a catch? Was it an interception? What was it?
The only explanation I could have is that it was inconclusive, and therefore the referees went with the call on the field. But personally, I clearly thought it was a catch. I mean, I saw the knee on the ground. He had been touched. It's a dead ball, and then it seemed like he had the ball ripped from him. You know, I'm not just saying this because we want to see H. Dilla jump through a table. You know, I'm not just saying that because we want to see that. I think it was clearly a catch, and I really kind of do think it was bad reffing. But, I mean, if they would use that excuse, hey, we thought it was inconclusive, opposed to they actually thought it was an interception, then that would be more understanding.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the Bills' strategy was in that, you know, that play, or not the drive itself. I felt like instead of marching down the field, you know, taking 10 yards here, 15 yards here, they kept going for the home run. I don't understand why. I believe at that point that all they had to do was get in field goal range to win that game because both teams had possession. So I don't understand it. A little perplexed, but I too think it looked more of a catch than it didn't. And so the NFL, and there was a play in the Rams game where Davante Adams made a catch in that late drive for the Rams. Same thing happened. He got smoked after making the catch, but his knee was down, or whatever it was down, and it was considered a catch. No fumble, right? And it just looked exactly like the same almost as if what we watched in Denver for the Bills. So sometimes I shake my head at the NFL and the complexity or their explanation. I think they don't even have it down of exactly what's a catch, what's not a catch, and what scenario and what's not a scenario where it is. So I would have liked to see a Bills-Patriots matchup versus a Broncos without Bo Nix. So that's where my 6.5 comes in. And I guess when it comes to maybe wrapping up the teams that are not here, Josh Allen, he had his opportunity right now. His window without Patty Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow and the AFC, suddenly, window's closed. Another season gone. Is this, what do you think of Josh Allen? Did he fail to get the job done here?
I think he did fail to get the job done. They shouldn't have been in a position where the game was close. You know, the Bills are a team that are supposed to just keep laying on the points. Yeah, I think they fell short. And you know what? I know Josh Allen actually isn't facing a lot of criticism right now, but if I'm not mistaken, he had 4 turnovers in that game. Is that correct?
I believe you're right, but that if you recall that turnover, especially at the end of the first half, where he was holding the ball like a loaf of bread and gave up a inexcusable field goal that pushed the Broncos up 10 at that point.
Yeah, hard to watch. That's all I really have to say is, it seems kind of, I don't want to say it's Caleb Williams level, but it always seems the Bills are kind of coming up short, kind of like this every year. Josh
Yeah.
Allen, realistically, though, I will say a Josh Allen and a quarterback of his caliber, there really should be no excuse even when a guy like Mahomes is playing or Joe Burrow is playing, because he's supposed to be better than the rest. He's an MVP.
Yep. He's no excuse. He could have had a more dominating game, and he's got to. You know what? He's going to get the glory when things happen, but he's also going to get the finger pointed at him when they don't. And they didn't get it done. They should be in this AFC Championship game today. They didn't. They failed, and they can't hang their hat on one play that decided if they were going to march toward the Lombardi Trophy or not. And we might as well get into the coaching decisions. Sean McDermott out as Buffalo Bills coach. A lot of backlash. That I don't get the mindset of a lot of people out there when they criticize, well, it's not his fault. I mean, his resume up till now did not warrant the firing. Well, it's not about that. Nobody can disagree that Sean McDermott did a fantastic job. He should be number one in a lot of people's lists here to help rebuild or reshape a franchise, no question. But if you're the Buffalo Bills, what else are you going to do? You've already hit a wall. Your expectation is to be Super Bowl or bust, and you didn't do it. There has to be a different philosophy change. Yes, it's a risk. Yes, you could go a step backwards, but you can't go a step forwards unless you make some changes. But, and I'll let you comment in a second, the only flag I had was, if you noticed, Brandon Beane, their general manager, stayed. They didn't let him go. And I guess when asked about, player personnel decisions, that Terry Pagula, the owner, was kind of ripping in that it was the coaching staff that wanted Keon Coleman. Like, why would you even bring that up? Like, what? They were kind of like pointing fingers. It was weird. And that's the first sign of a trash organization. Mm-hmm. So that sounded like a Terry Pagula, I own the Buffalo Sabres, because they're a shit show. That's creeping into the Bills side. That was awful. And I mean, this management team had every opportunity I can imagine to say that I got Josh Allen. Let me go get a Waddle. Let me go get a stud receiver or two. Overpay, because our window is now.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of the Colts this season.
Yeah.
But I mean, do the Bills not feel to you, and I don't know why they don't make it a priority, but do they not just feel like one wide receiver away? Every Bills fan that I talk to, it's always one wide receiver away, and it's hard to disagree, And
they're going to wait too late. They're going to wait too late to, you have to go all in. Yeah, you may mortgage 3 years down the line, but you have Josh Allen. He is your key to a potential Super Bowl win.
Exactly.
And you have to maximize the talent around him. It's kind of like the Green Bay Packers when they would not, surround Aaron Rodgers with more receiving talent when the opportunity existed. It didn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
No. But that's the Bills, and Phillip Rivers in contention for this head coaching job. Can you see that?
I could definitely see that. If you want to shake some things up, Phillip Rivers, he's the man.
That guy might have a heart attack by midseason. He's very emotional, but he might be that rah-rah guy that you need to get the Bills to that next step. But that'd be a very interesting hire for them. And Josh McDaniels, former Miami Dolphins head coach, looks like he was in contention to potentially get an interview for this Bills head coaching job and then decided to turn it down because he looks like he's going to go to L.A. and be potentially the Chargers offense coordinator. But Josh McDaniels, why the hell would anybody think that he would be the choice for Buffalo? Like, could you picture him as a Buffalo Bills head coach next year?
No, maybe they're looking to just really shake something up. I have no idea.
Why would you bring the guy in? This guy's he's an excellent offensive mind, no question. But he couldn't get the job done as a head coach in Miami. Like, he could not get them to really, they took steps backwards the last few years, and you're going to bring them into a potential Super Bowl team like the Bills?
But you know what? I always went on about him, about how, I thought he was a good coach, but he just didn't have control of the locker room. So if he is put into that scenario and he does have control over that locker room, I think things honestly could go very different. Because, when he first came onto the scene, he was successful. and then he just kind of fell off completely. So I don't know, like it'd be exciting to watch. That's all I'm gonna say. To me, it'd be entertaining, and I think it could be a high upside play. I don't know if you agree. High upside,
No,
but
I
also
think as an
I think it's a
offensive coordinator is different than the head coach. And I don't think it
okay.
would be a
That's
positive.
fair. Yeah, that is fair.
All right, so we also had some big news from the AFC Central. We got AFC North. Sorry, we have Mike McCarthy in as Steelers head coach, which is, we had the Ravens and the Steelers looking for head coaches, and they both went opposite directions. The Steelers take a McCarthy veteran coach who last spent 5 seasons with the Cowboys. Previous to that, Packers head coach, won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Now with the Steelers, while the Ravens go with Jesse Minter, who was the defensive coordinator with the Rams. Sorry, with the Chargers. So both organizations have really good track records on hiring coaches, but they just took opposite kind of direction. One giving somebody a fresh chance, and then somebody getting a chance, the third time around. Any thoughts on those two hires?
I guess my thoughts with the Steelers is, is this going to improve the Steelers or hurt them compared to Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin every single year. I know they always fell short, but he got them to the playoffs every single year. And it's like, is this guy coming in here with the pieces to make even a playoff appearance happen? I don't know. Like with Mike Tomlin, I always respected him as I don't know how he's going to get them to the playoffs, but he's going to get them to the playoffs. And year in, year out, every single year, Steelers are in the playoffs, right? Of course, they're out week 1. But I don't know if another coach can come in with these pieces and even get them here. I always thought Mike Tomlin, obviously in the Roethlisberger's years when he had Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Roethlisberger, obviously we were expecting potential Super Bowl, but with the pieces that he's had in the last few years, I just don't understand why the expectations were always so high on him in the first place. So I personally just look at this as a downgrade.
Yeah, and they got no quarterback, right? And even if they did bring Aaron Rodgers back, what is left? He's rough. He's running on fumes, man, as a quarterback. So they're in trouble there. At least the Ravens job, Jesse Minter, he's got an established offense already. Lamar Jackson's should be going nowhere unless something develops that we don't know about behind the scenes. Yeah, I think the Ravens look to be in a better position to kind of compete now. The Steelers look like they're maybe, unless we see them make different moves prior to the draft, almost fooling themselves that they can put this back together again and make a run at the playoffs. I mean, it should have been an eye opener what Houston did to them and how it got done. They got dominated. They couldn't move the ball, and Houston got toyed with by the Patriots. So Houston's a playoff team. Obviously, showed they weren't a Super Bowl threat, and you lost to that rather easily. So that should have been a real big sign that what you're doing in your formula of success is not working, and you need to put a different ingredient in there because it's not Steeler level of success that you're aiming for at this moment. But that is what it is, and that's some coaching hires there. Robert Saleh, 49ers defensive coordinator, former New York Jet head coach, goes to Tennessee. I do believe when you have a young quarterback and a franchise kind of looking for an identity, I do like that hire. I think Robert Saleh did have some decent time in New York. He was caught up. He was in a fucked up organization, man. That organization's so messed up that when they had their heart set on, getting Aaron Rodgers, which I understood at the time.
Yeah.
And 2 plays in, he gets injured and he's stuck with Zach Wilson as his quarterback. I mean, he really didn't have much to go on. So I think it's a good job for him to take because they do have hopefully an up-and-coming second-year Cam Ward ready to take that next step. But that's going to be important that he develops to where he needs to be to take that franchise to the next step. Any thoughts there? Like Tennessee make the right move?
Was Saleh not fired after that small altercation with Rodgers? Was there not some kind of he touched him or something and Rodgers kind of pushed him off, and then a week later he was fired, or a couple days later he was fired? I don't know if he necessarily got a fair chance, like you said, with Zach Wilson. He just had that bad luck with Rodgers getting injured. So, I think it is good for an organization to take a chance on this guy.
Yeah. I
And the
do too.
Jets
I
are
don't.
cursed too, so it doesn't.
They're
Anything
cursed.
that he did there doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. They're the most messed up organization maybe in sports. All right, so as we head into this Saturday, I just want to touch on a couple stories that ahead of time. Friday night in Toronto, big night. Mitch Marner for the Las Vegas Golden Knights spent 9 years in a Leaf uniform. Come back to Toronto. Vegas Golden Knights get the job done. They win. As soon as Marner touches the puck early, he gets booed. Midway through the first period, they have kind of our stars come back. They
Tribute?
show videos and stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. And people are cheering. So I can't tell if you had the same people booing and cheering at the same time. But this Leaf team, to me, again, they played Marner in Vegas a week ago, or a week and a half ago. They're up by 2 goals, blow a lead. And they just can't get the job done and win one for their fucking fan base. Marner comes back, and this Golden Knights team seemed to be more into the game than the Leafs did. For Marner, instead of, this Leaf team, riding what the city wants, and that's at least give a little win when Mitch comes back. Now, can't come through. This team has lack of heart, and but it was just a moment in Toronto. I don't know if you had any thoughts on the Mitch Marner return.
Not too many thoughts. I don't follow hockey too much, but I don't know. Leafs are always disappointing me. That's all I really have to say. It's hard to keep up. I felt like last year was our chance.
Yeah, UFC 324 last night. Is it 24? Yeah, 3 for whatever. Paddy Pimblett does lose against Justin Gaethje. But if you did see the fight, I do think that Paddy Pimblett's reputation has grown despite the loss. He stood in there with Justin Gaethje. Gaethje was hammering him. He gave a few shots. It was a 5-round decision. Good fight. So it was an interesting fight, I'd say, and it was very entertaining. I don't know if you watched it, bet on it, anything like that.
No, sadly, I was in bed.
That's exciting. There we go. So that was that. And also non-sports related. Have you seen these? You know who Rampage Jackson is?
Yeah,
UFC fighter?
UFC fighter, yes.
Former UFC fighter. He's old now. But he has this live stream. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And his whole reputation is like he flips out. He gets angry, right?
Rampage.
And there's clips. And he's playing along. He's playing along. But,
yeah.
So he'll have a live stream. And people will send in these Photoshop photos.
Oh, I've seen that, yeah.
With P. Diddy. Rubbing baby oil on him.
Yeah.
And he'll look at it and flip out. Or leave him, some people will send him money, like donations or whatever. And they'll leave a voicemail. And they say some bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he reacts to it. Like he's dressed up as a cowboy, so he's called Brokeback Jackson. All it's just stuff like it's bad, it's rude,
yeah.
But it's funny. Like it's just when somebody flips out like that in rage, it's pretty funny. So just if you like, and he's playing along. Like
definitely
he knows, but I can't believe how
he's a jokester.
He's a jokester, but he plays the guy that gets rage pretty good.
Yeah, he does.
But there are people online that feel very comfortable either saying or creating memes that absolutely cross the line of like I would never do this stuff. Like I could never do that stuff. And it's just wild what's out there on the internet, man.
Classic
Let's
Rampage.
do the concrete fact before we get into the game. Let's go.
Boy. All right, give me a second here.
Okay, let's go. Hold on, don't do it yet. Don't do it just yet. Ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so the concrete fact this week for the concrete community is that concrete is widely used for roads because it's strong and durable. But sadly, obviously, it's a problem. Sorry, I messed up the concrete fact. Let me restart. Basically, the fun concrete fact is that the fun concrete fact is that right now, people are trying to create self-heating concrete so that we don't have to deal with salting roads for the snow and the ice. And, the idea is to save money on snow removal by implementing this new self-heating concrete. So there's your fun fact for the week. Sorry for butchering it, concrete community. Not as solid as I would have liked.
There you go. That's got you a clap. Thanks to the concrete fact, I wish this concrete you spoke of was available today in this type of weather so that it would reduce the amount of time spent to have to clear the roads and get the city moving again. So that's your concrete fact for the week. We'll be back next week with another concrete fact. And now we reach to where we want to be, and that is talking NFL Championship Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have our first matchup, and that is the New England Patriots head to Mile High to take on the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, if you didn't know, announced after their win against the Buffalo Bills last week that Bo Nix had broken his ankle on, I think, the second to last play of the game and is out. Jarrett Stidham is in at quarterback. Bo Nix apparently had surgery, will be 12 weeks on the shelf, and obviously not enough time if they reach the Super Bowl. Really big news. Like, what was your reaction when you first heard that? Was it shock? It had to be a joke? What were your initial thoughts when you heard it?
I couldn't believe it. No one wants to see that, no matter who you are. I want to say, well, maybe if you're a New England fan, you're happy to see that, but just terrible for football. It seems like the game is made lesser, but I am enticed just because it's more of a hurdle, more of a challenge. If they actually do somehow overcome it, I'm not going to be too turned off because, look, this team, they lost their quarterback, young quarterback, maybe a star quarterback, not a superstar. But if I would have had any of these teams lose their quarterback, it would have been the number one defense. So because they're still the number one defense in football, I believe anything could happen. They could even go in to win the Super Bowl. I personally might believe they have the best value out of any of these teams to win the Super Bowl at 10-1. So, are we jumping right into the picks right now?
Well, let's talk about it. So the Broncos are 3.5-point dogs. The Patriots are the favorites. I think this was up at 4.5 and came down to 3.5. Is that spread too low? I think that I look at it as probably a little better in the Patriots. I have a little more faith that they'll cover. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, you got to look at Drake May. Yeah, sure, he's Super Bowl contender, or not Super Bowl, sorry, MVP contender. But I don't know. Last week he had 4 or 5 turnovers, 3 or 4 interceptions.
Not good.
And now you're going up against the number one defense, so I really, honestly, you might be surprised by my pick on this one. But I think it's going to be closer than you think. I think there's going to be a couple turnovers in this one. And yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go to make my pick. I don't know who's going to win this game, but I'm confident that Broncos will keep it within 3.
So you'll take the spread?
Yeah, I would have definitely loved to have that 4.5. Would have felt way better. But yeah, I would take the 3.5. And you know what? I'm not going to be surprised. To me, this is a 50-50 game. Might be crazy to say.
So let's put our betting hats on right now. So would you hold off on making that wager now and hope it goes to 4.5 by kickoff?
Yes.
Or do you feel that you should lock it in now?
Like, I am happy with the 3.5, but if you're hesitant, like you don't feel you share the same opinion with me, then maybe wait for the difference to be that point. You know what I mean?
But if it may never come, it could go the other way.
Yeah, if it goes the other way, I mean, I'm just saying you got to come to terms with it. But me personally, I will still say semi-confidently 3.5 on the Broncos. This team still has the number one defense. I think the reason why they're here is their defense. I don't think the reason they're here is Bo Nix. Still got respect for the guy. Still think he's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. But I just think when you have that number one defense, I think anything could happen.
So if you were setting the line, you were the bookmaker, and you were creating the line, what would you have made the spread?
2.5.
2.5. So that's why you feel very comfortable taking the Broncos with the points.
I mean, yes, you could argue, that's just 1 point. You argue, it's just 1 point, but to me, 3.5 is a big number. It's like you get that field goal insurance, basically. And that's what how I think it's going to play out.
43.5 is the over-under at the moment. What kind of game do you think? It's going to be a high scoring, a real defensive battle? Like, what do you think?
I think we get like a 20-17 game. So I think it's going to be pretty low scoring, and I think we're going to get that under 43.5.
Okay. All right. And Here's what I think is going to happen. It's going to play out one of two ways. I know it's easy to have multiple, viewpoints on this. I do believe that the Patriots will cover the spread. I do believe that the Patriots will pull away at some point in this ball game. And if they were smart, that they have to think about always that the you want their offense to chase. You want, right now, if you believe like you do that the Broncos are going to potentially stay within a field goal in this game, that's going to be like you talked about, a 20-17 ball game where, there's a lot of punts, there's a turnover here or there, a lot of fourth downs being, aggressive play calling on fourth downs that are not executed, allowing the Broncos to play their type of offense where it's, minimal risk, don't run the ball, short passes, no real deep balls that, put the Broncos at risk of turning the ball over. However, if the Patriots jump out to that, 2-score lead, even late in the first half, it will take the Broncos out of their comfort zone. And that's where I think that faced with a 4th and 2 in field goal range, if you're already up by 7, if you're the Patriots, you hit that field goal. There's no need to try. And yes, that the analytics tell you have to look at what's at the other side of the field. And that is an offense that you don't believe can move the ball. So I got to believe Mike Vrabel's thinking that way. The Patriots get the job done. I think that they probably win 23-14, something like that. So I'll stick. I'm going to say the over. Fuck it. I'm going to change my score there. I'm going to say the Patriots win 31-13.
Oh my God. No
okay?
undies.
No undies for me. Fuck that.
All
We're
right.
going
So
commando.
Even though you think they're going to crush, do you think -114 for Drake May to throw an interception is a good bet?
That's not bad. I mean, let me just, because I have a list. I can't remember if I have the list that on the list or not of different props like we did last week.
Yeah. Best defense in football in Denver. Pressure's on, probably the most pressure Drake May has ever faced in his career, coming off a 4-interception game. I think he throws at least one interception here.
Yeah, it wasn't even it's funny you say that, because I think we were watching the Patriots Houston Texans last week, and he threw an INT that you wouldn't think about it because it was at the end of the half, and he jacked one up and it was picked off.
Yeah,
I mean that could happen, right? And that's not part of what you think of when you're looking at this line. That's obviously a throwaway kind of play that the result is an interception. So these things can happen. And with this Broncos D, this tip passes that always happen where a receiver puts his hand up and the ball's up in the air. Absolutely. There's no reason why. Drake May has shown he can turn the ball over with the best of them.
All right, so let's lock that in as prop of the week. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. You are.
All right, that's my prop of the week.
Okay, but let's look at this. I'm going to go down a few other props.
You approve, right?
I get it. Drake May, over 223.5 passing yards. Over or no?
No.
Bullshit. I'm going to say yes.
He hits 180 today.
Oh, that's disgusting. Sit him. Over 208.5 passing yards. Under?
Under. Yeah, sorry, I'll sit up.
I'm going to say under as well. Okay, here's a good one. Drake May to score a touchdown. Plus 300.
Rushing?
He could be.
No,
it has to be rushing.
I think it's going to be low scoring, so I'm not going to bet it.
No, so you're going to say nay.
No. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say yay. Jarrett Stidham. Okay, this is a good. I'm trying to figure out how this will look. So Jarrett Stidham, rushing yards over 14.5.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I like that one. What are the odds on it?
-112.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. Drake May. Okay. Here's an interesting for plus 125. Will Drake May have 10 plus rushing yards in each half? So will he have 10 or more in the first half, 10 or more in the second half for plus 125?
I'll stay away from that one. I think if you told me over 20 yards, I'd like that more than having both halves. It just seems like too, I don't know about random factor. It's not a bad bet, but I'm going to stay away.
Okay.
Interesting.
And now this one is this is one of the game specials that it's not going to happen, but would you throw a few dollars on it because as a Hail Mary, okay? And that is Courtland Sutton and Stephon Diggs to combine for 300 yards receiving.
No.
What if I said it was plus 25,000?
What? Yeah, okay, a couple of bucks at that. That would obviously be the opposite of how I thought the game would go, but I could see that happening if you're giving me those odds. Jeez. What's it? Sorry, what is that, 25 to 1?
No, 25,000. So that'd be like times it by 250.
Anything could happen.
All right. And you like the Drake May INT, and that is that. But you believe who is going to be playing in the Super Bowl? We talked about keeping the game close, but you have to know, you have to say who is expected to be 2 Sundays from now.
Okay, so you want both teams?
No, I just want this game. This game.
Okay. I think for some reason, weird feeling, I think the Broncos are going to get the job done today.
Oh my God.
I know. I think and that's not what I want to see. I think the Patriots will be a lot more entertaining in the Super Bowl, but I just have a bad feeling at home. Number 1 defense in the league. Drake May coming off the worst game maybe of his career. I think the Broncos get done.
You think the goddamn Broncos are going to win this game?
Yeah.
What's the money line right now?
But...
Do you have that in front of you? Straight up win for the Broncos?
Straight up.
And are you going to be putting money on the straight up win?
No, I'm not that ballsy with it, I don't think. But it's plus
what is it?
168.
I don't even think that's enough.
No,
that should be like 200. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
If it was 200, I'd take it.
My God.
But that's honestly, I understand why that line is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on this game? Anything to do with these two teams? Anything?
No, I think I covered all my thoughts, and I thought maybe Drake May interception was one of the best props that I seen. So I think that's it.
I think we got to check the weather forecast. That's going to be NFL weather forecast, snow forecast for the Broncos and Patriots.
That helps my low scoring prediction.
Yeah.
Doesn't help me.
Some snow.
Doesn't hurt me.
A winter storm is making its way across the majority of the United States on Sunday, January 25th. And that makes football viewers wonder about NFL weather. Let me just get to the goddamn forecast here. According to the research from Weather Channel at the National, blah, 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 Denver is in line to get some snow on Sunday, but mainly after the Broncos and Patriots game. So probably won't be impacting. Seattle's a different story. We're going to get one muzzle lead into this. While the city is known for its intense rain for the Seahawks and Los Angeles Rams game, it's looking like a much nicer forecast. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I guess you don't have it says snow is coming, but I don't know how much snow is going to impact the game and rain. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I don't know. We'll see. Now we get to the heavyweight matchup in the NFC West. Your boy, Sam Darnold.
Let's go.
Takes on and hosts the Los Angeles Rams and Puka Nacua. And potential MVP duel here where you have Matthew Stafford leading the charge. Keep in mind, he didn't look great in the fourth quarter against the Bears. He was kind of shut down like a lot in the second half. But Matthew Stafford, he's got a rocket of an arm. The line here is the Rams road team. Sorry, the Seahawks are 2.5-point favorites, and the over-under is a lofty 45.5. And we've seen this game play out a few weeks back on the Thursday nighter where the Seahawks got the victory, but it wasn't like they dominated, and they kind of maybe fell into a victory with the 2-point conversion that nobody even thought of. And it turned into a significant play in the game. And then going for it for the 2-point conversion at the end of the ball game to win it. And this is after the Rams had already scored a touchdown. So the Rams could have won that game, probably should have won that game. They were up in that game. And they can play in Seattle probably better than obviously the 49ers did. So what's your initial take here? What do you like? I know you like Seahawks, but...
So I just want to say, I've heard this game called the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah,
like this,
it's hard not to say
game, like, despite our potential, like, oh, there could be a backup quarterback in the Super Bowl. I gotta say, LA versus Seattle in this spot, hands down the best football game of the year, right? This is the obviously the most anticipated game of the year. This is the two best teams in football, I would say. I think you'd say these are the two best teams in football easily this year. And obviously, I've rocked with Sam Darnold this long. I've rocked with the Filet-O-Fish combo. I've gone in there on what is it, Friday?
that. Mm-hmm.
I've gone in there Friday. I've ordered the double patty, and I'm not changing up the routine now. All right? So
Wow. That's how much you believe in Sam Darnold.
Give me Sam Darnold. Yeah, and you know what? I think this could be a hell of a game. I think easily 50 points. So obviously give me the over here. I don't know. Sam Darnold is no joke. It just feels like Seattle's year. I believe Sam Darnold's that guy. I believe he's the guy that's not sexy, but he's always going to get the job done. Overachieve on the expectations. And I'm going with Seattle all day.
So a non-sexy Filet-O-Fish quarterback and Sam Darnold
extra mayo
is going to get the job done.
Yeah, extra mayo. That's JSN.
Extra mayo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take, at least on the outcome, is going to be different in my opinion. I think the Rams get the job done. I think they are the better team. That's my opinion. Even though the Seattle Seahawks defense is lights out and has been absolute dominant, but they didn't slow down the Rams. They didn't slow down the Rams on that Thursday nighter. And I see it as the Rams got their scare against Chicago. They got that hurdle. They overcame that hurdle and will be in the Super Bowl taking on the Patriots. That's my opinion. That's what it will be like. The third such matchup, in the last 20 years. Do you know who Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl against?
Tom Brady.
Come on, it's a trick question.
Who he won his first
Well,
Super
who would
Bowl?
He play with?
I'm confused.
Tom Brady. Who
I don't
did he
know
play
Tom
with?
Brady. Patriots.
Right. And who am I thinking is going to meet up in the Super Bowl this year? Patriots and not the Seahawks.
Los Angeles.
Right. So he beat the St. Louis Rams as for his first Super Bowl. So you kids got out there, got to do your history and look at Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowl rings, 2 of them of which came against the Rams. One in St. Louis Rams and one against the Los Angeles Rams. And that was before the Rams wound up winning a Super Bowl. So I like the Rams to come through in this game. I think Matthew Stafford will be the difference. I think the moment will be too big for your Filet-O-Fish quarterback there. So bland, so extra mayo, whatever. It's going to be splatter when it comes to looking at Sam Darnold. He's going to throw a key interception. He's going to throw a key pass that's just, you shouldn't let the ball go. He's going to make a mistake and multiple mistakes. It's going to fuck them over. I feel that Sam Darnold is going to be the reason why they lose this game.
Wow.
So that's,
how dare you?
I'm so opposite. I'm so opposite. That Filet-O-Fish Friday has got to go. Right. And so it's not going to happen for Seattle. They've had a great season, dominating fashion. They probably still don't get respect. I got to believe that the betting community still does not respect the Seahawks. So that's my take. I know you have an opposite take, but
I will say I feel like the Seahawks have been given enough respect here. Just the fact that they're the favorites. I wouldn't have been surprised if the line makers honestly made Los Angeles Rams the favorite. So I feel like they've been given their respect, even though they're only 2.5 points. I feel like that's enough for respect.
All right. And we're going to go down with some props here. And you tell me what your thoughts are on these props.
Yeah,
just drop my pen 1 second. All right. First prop. Sam Darnold, your Filet-O-Fish. Will he pass for over 233.5 yards today?
Easily.
Not even a thought on that. He's going to do it.
JSN's going to have half of those alone.
Well, we'll get to him. I'll agree with you. I think he's going to have a lot of yards because he's going to be chasing the Rams.
I thought I already said extra mayo.
Yeah, you did. Matthew Stafford, over 256.5 yards passing.
I think he hits that too.
Okay, so you like the over. I think you like a lot of passing yards.
I think we got one of those games where it's just touchdown after touchdown.
Honestly, I needed that to be the case with the Bears and Rams. I had a couple parlays where I needed them just to hit 40 points. and they couldn't hit 40 fucking points.
Yeah.
And there was
my
also a play, before the Rams hit their field goal, they were throwing it into the end zone. And if the guy just came down with it, Parkinson, I would have won. Jackass.
Like, I know
Anyway.
Seattle has a great defense, but I just think with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, that kind of gets around any defense. And I feel like it's going to come down to Sam Darnold having a good performance and, really sticking it to the Vikings with their decision that they made. But, I think there's a great performance on both sides. Like I said, I think these are the two best teams in football. So,
Well,
I think we're going to see like just elite level play here, more on the offense. But we'll see what goes down.
So Matthew Stafford minus 122 to pass for 2 or more touchdowns.
Sorry, Stafford to throw 2 touchdowns?
Yes, passing touchdowns.
Oh yeah, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think so.
Easily.
Puka Nacua over 91.5 receiving yards.
Puka Nacua easily.
Man, we agree. I think we're getting
maybe
this all over now.
I could see Devontae Adams getting a little bit less, but getting a touchdown.
Njigba 92.5 yards.
Over. I think he breaks 100 today.
Again, I'm going to go with this tip. Again, if he is light in the first half, hammer the over on his line. He finds a way to get his yards. And sometimes he is completely shut out in the first half, and he is a monster in the second half. So keep that as a value play in your back pocket when the halftime whistle goes and what his current performance is in the game. You might find some value there. I'll also say over. And Kyren Williams, running back for the Colts or for the Rams, rushing and receiving over 69.5 yards. Now, he had 70 rushing yards in that Thursday nighter against the Seahawks, 15 receiving yards for a total of 85 total. And he is total yards 69.5. I got to think he's going to be a factor here today.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say the over. What do you think?
Yeah. Sorry, can you repeat that player's name one time?
Kyren Williams, running back for the Rams. Yeah.
I think that the Los Angeles Rams today find their success within the wide receiver core. And I think, even though I think he could have a touchdown because they're going to be in the red zone a lot, I could see him being held to like 50-ish yards. So I'm going to stay away from that. I don't hate it or anything. I just think that it's probably accurate to where it should be and not exciting me.
Okay. And then a couple where I felt interesting game specials, and you tell me if they're value or not. Each starting quarter. Okay, this is for both two games, all 4 quarterbacks. Okay, each starting quarterback to throw 1 interception today. So all 4 quarterbacks will have an interception plus 600.
With those odds, I'll take that. I like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's on FanDuel?
It's on FanDuel under games like game specials that are.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could see it happening, especially
each team.
I mean, I'm more confident in the first game. Listen, we have talked about Matthew Stafford and how he's gone like 4 or 5 straight games without throwing an interception. But obviously the Seattle Seahawks defense is no joke. And also, Stafford was red hot. I think he's still hot. He's still that hot guy. But 1 interception.
Well, he threw an interception against Carolina.
Yeah.
As predicted by this guy.
I think at those odds you take it because I think they should be closer to 3-1 or 4-1. So I think you take those that increased odds.
All right, and then each team, all 4 teams, to have at least 1 field goal and 1 touchdown, plus 110.
Yeah, I like that. I like the over on both games, so I have to agree.
Got it. All right. Well, so our Super Bowl matchups differ here. I think there's going to be a Rams-Patriots Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. You're a complete opposite, thinking Seahawks-Broncos, which is the blandest Super Bowl I could think of. And really am not going to be jacked to wait 2 weeks for that fucking matchup. That'd be horrible. Plan is we're going to do Working Dog again for the Sunday. I don't know if Austin from Ajax can make it down for that. Get some squares going. Get some live betting going, really have a good time and close out the football season. But are you ready for the season to be over, or are you you're itching for a full slate Sunday, or do you need some time off from football?
I'm never looking forward to it to be over. It's always a bit of a sad time. Football always feels too short, but I think that's one of the things that makes it great. It's once a week, in baseball, we got 162 games. In football, we got 18 games.
17,
17.
1 week off for each team.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that, it's short-lived. It's not, to me, it's not enough. So it's always a sad time, but obviously excited for next year as well. As soon as it's done, you just wait for next year, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, and I think I need a break to kind of level set and refocus what the strategy is going into next year. Every year you come in and start betting and thinking you're going to bankroll, you're going to run your bankroll, efficiently. Emotion's not going to be brought into it. You're not going to chase a game while it's on TV or playing at the bar, but you do, right? And it's just like those are mistakes that I continuously make. Got to rethink about going into next year and making it more of a sharp mindset when, navigating through an 18-week season. So I'm ready for the break. We'll discuss what the podcast will look like. Baseball will be on tap not too long, and maybe pop in a show that looks forward to that. So Austin from Ajax will be our baseball guy, both from a betting standpoint, also a fantasy baseball. I think is very important because Austin from Ajax is usually in. How many baseball fantasy leagues do you normally get into?
You know what? Usually the most I've ever been on is 3 in a single year, and usually I'm on 2 fantasy baseball leagues.
Right.
There's so much interest because obviously, as you listeners know, we're from Toronto here, and the Blue Jays just made it to the World Series, lost in 7 games. But that has a lot more people into baseball, and I wouldn't be excited if I'm in maybe one more league this year because of that. Who knows? Just a possibility. But yeah, I'm definitely very excited for football or baseball. Sorry. I think that's one of the only reasons I'm not too upset about football, because this is probably one of the most excited most excited I've ever been for baseball. And especially coming, to the podcast and getting more into it and telling you guys what I've learned and all that kind of stuff. So, good things on the horizon.
We'll need a lot of insight because the waiver wire is a big factor when it comes to running a fantasy team, and you know that, and you run the waiver wire in a strategic way to put yourself in the best position to win. Outside of baseball, I want to focus. On golf is so fucking good to bet on. It's so fun to bet on, and we have, may not be a week in a week out kind of look at betting, but April we have the Masters as the first major of the year. Absolutely exciting. We get some pools going there, but if you don't bet golf, you're missing out. It is so goddamn fun, especially when something kicks off on a Thursday and you have a varied amount of different wagers you can put on. It doesn't have to be an outright winner. It could be head on, it could be a group of 3, it could be top 15, could be a number of birdies. It's so fun to really look at golf. And very interesting, to say the least. And then you got college basketball as we lead up to March Madness, which is crazy. We're going to have the NFL draft in the April-May timeline there. It's going to be in Green Bay, and there's betting odds on that. Now is a good time to jump on some of those betting odds. Obviously, with Mendoza being the projected number 1 overall pick, but that may change and evolve as we get closer to the draft. What are the sports? NHL happening. We'll probably get a show going about the NHL. Obviously, our Canadian viewers. I would love to do a soccer show in some way, somehow. But really a lot of things up in the air for the Overrated experience as the football season winds down. We're going to obviously focus our attention on the Super Bowl, be very meticulous because props are absolutely huge. Maybe talk about some of the other items you can do to make your Super Bowl party entertaining, such as, squares and all sorts of things you can do at your party and all that fun stuff. So the Overrated experience has given you our wisdom for NFL Championship Sunday. We've provided you a concrete fact, and we'll continue to do that. Who knows what's on the horizon, but you'll need to follow us at Overrated EXPER2 on X, Overrated EXPER2. Make it happen. And again, follow us on the video version of this pod, the VOD, on YouTube at Overrated Experience. You get to see our faces and download and show your friends. Anything else, Austin from Ajax, to spit out before we go?
Nope, I think we've covered everything.
All right, so the pleasure's all been yours. The Overrated Experience is over and out.
Austin from Ajax, out.
All right, goodbye, everybody.